Currently, it's not looking good at all for Ashes of Creation. Hashtag Narc was obviously right about everything. Most people are very upset, in fact. There's people who have left the game, there's people who are complaining about the state of the game, and, well, there's no people that are really positive. If someone is currently saying, oh, Ashes of Creation is in a great position, most people are looking at him and being like, do you, have you even seen the game? Have you even played the game? Promises not made, promises unkept, and a lot of other things. At this point, boys, we're gonna need to have another wave of beta keys that cost 200. But wait, no, Steven, make it 400 this time. And obviously, the fact that Ashes of Creation for the financial points seems just like a giant money grab. And there's, by the way, I'm a financist. Ashes of Creation looks like a giant, absolutely FOMO money grab from pretty much every way that I'm looking at it. Not saying it's not going to be a game, because we have already been over Ashes of Creation scam, Ashes of Creation not scam, and currently the pendulum is kind of swinging back to a lot of people probably calling this a scam, considering, well, how close is the game to launch? I don't know. How close is Star Citizen to launch? Yeah, it's gonna be your children's game at this point.
Phase 2.5 has been rough. We all feel it. Player numbers are dwindling, Discord chatter is dead, and Intrepid is holding back the content for Phase 3. Yes, some of the current phase issues are bound to happen. Exploits and RMTs running rampant once again, while Intrepid figures out what's the best way to handle these situations. But there was a lot that was in their control that has contributed.
How about the WoW token? Steven, I know you want extra money, okay? You love money.
To the player decline and lack of enjoyment of this current phase of alpha testing. Poor communication with the community, tone-deaf updates that seem to come out of nowhere, such as momentum changes that had to be rolled back, along with implementing changes to the artisanship and economy in the game that has everybody wondering who the hell signed off on this to begin with. I really want.
Now, to be fair against Ashes of Creation, because I have no horse in it, I'm not an idiot who bought a $200 key at the end of the day. Yeah, most people who bought a key at this point are like, I can't even honestly be too mad at this guy. I don't, and by the way, most people don't even, you know, have any regrets about that decision, which is understandable. You had fun. If you felt it was worth it, it was honestly worth it. But the price point is redonkulous, obviously. And yeah, to be completely fair with Ashes of Creation, listen. They're trying to do something really big here. They're trying to be something unique. Something that has already been done and is literally called EVE Online. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's literally kind of what Ashes of Creation is. It's EVE Online, but in with carts and horses.
On Ashes of Creation to succeed. I've put 7 years of my life into this.
So the excuse that Ashes of Creation is trying to build something unique and new is not in the slightest true, sadly. Which is not really a problem as long as you believe in the game and what it's trying to do. I personally think if Ashes of Creation succeeds in what it's kind of, I guess, attempting to do, then nothing really matters because it just succeeds. But again, Ashes of Creation does not get the benefit of the doubt with, oh, it's trying to be unique and do something that has not been done. Ashes of Creation is literally, again, just EVE Online with horses.
This channel, and I've invested more time than most people in this project. But going into Phase 3, something needs to change. Intrepid keeps making these same mistakes as they have for the last 8 years. Overpromise, underdeliver. This could be Steven jumping into Discord with dates on things such as econ changes before he actually has an idea of the work that goes into such a thing, or telling us the rogue is right around the corner for months at a time and have it show up.
Classic!
4 months after its estimation. It could be poor communication through articles that then need to be changed multiple times because it seems like nobody proofread them, or in the case of fresh start servers,
by the way, as a rogue player,
proofread them, or in times need to be after its estimation, 4 months after its estimation, and have it show up for.
As a rogue player, I just want to say, okay, When you're going into stealth is like a giant announcement, a giant billboard, a giant sign being held up by you and saying, "Hey, look at me! I just did a thing." That's poor fucking class design. I just want to say that World of Warcraft, ironically enough, does stealth perfectly. You know how? Be- because you just and that's it. Silence, nothing. It's perfect. Not this crap. Dude, might as well blast a couple of fireworks in the air while you're at it. This is not a rogue. This is not a stealthy class fantasy. This is autism in full fucking spectrum right here. Okay, this is transcendent retardation. This is someone completely not understanding the fantasy of a subtitry class.
4 months after its estimation, it could be poor communication through articles that then need to be changed multiple times because it seems like nobody proofread them, or in the case of fresh start servers, no one had even been paying attention.
Listen. They only have multiple millions to work with. They're a poor and development company that's struggling, obviously. So it is what it is.
To the community cry until Steven jumped into the Discord one day and got swarmed with it. Then Intrepid tells us they're listening, they are working to improve, and they show a bit of improvement for a time, and then months down the road, they relapse into the same situation and continue in the same pattern. It is something that has continued to happen for years with this development. Yes, this is the downside to open development. Things do in fact change, whether we want to accept that or not. But if they are planning to make a big announcement, they need to make sure it's not out of touch with the community if they want to prevent the outrage. There is also a lack of centralized communication throughout these phases of alpha testing. The majority of information that comes out requires you to go through old Discord conversations or dive into Reddit threads to even learn what these changes are. Yes, content creators do their best to relay some of this information, but we aren't going to reach everyone, and honestly, people should not have to look to us to find information on things such as economy changes or story arc and narrative changes that are happening. There needs to be a centralized avenue of communication on Intrepid's website stating these updates, and if Steven drops information in Reddit or in Discord that is important, this information should then be brought to.
By the way, I'm not gonna lie. I think the combat is. There are things that look better than this, but there are things that are more polished, right? But this is scuffed.
Whatever that centralized communication method is. Jamie from Tangents of Creation had the best idea I've heard. A living roadmap. Something that the community team is updating at least weekly to give us the latest form of development. It doesn't need to be anything special at all. A chart with a progress bar showing where the development is at. Is it in the early stages? Did it just hit?
Never happening. Because even if they try their best, there's gonna be portions where something doesn't move and people are going to be pissed that it doesn't move. So something like this is never going to work. It's just going to make people angry. And that's something you don't want to do.
QA, is it on the PTR, or is it about to be dropped on live?
Listen, you implement this chart and not a lot of people are buying a $200 key, okay? That's just simple truth.
People could then go check and be like, oh, this economy change is still in early development, it's going to be a while, I'll check back in a couple weeks, instead of relying on constant searches throughout the Discord, and it would actually be transparent with Intrepid's so-called transparent development. This would also give players the tools to provide accurate and more focused feedback to Intrepid, knowing if some new system is just placeholder or it's intended and needs a bit more of a focus. When you look at a live build, does anybody in their right mind have any idea what we're supposed to be testing right now? Because I don't. Leading up to Alpha 2, the way Intrepid talked, I always thought it would have more focus than it does. Maybe the first few weeks of a new server is progression. Start out doing normal things, leveling to test the changes. Then the data is gathered, the next 2 weeks we're going to have a focus on sieges, so they drop vendors with boosts and gear, and people constantly hammer out these sieges. Maybe down the road they want everybody to focus test endgame rogue, so they provide boosts to that archetype to get more feedback on it. This is what I expected of Alpha 2, not for us to be thrown in here with poor systems and no understanding of what's happening. I expected it and would like.
These expectations are pretty wild, honestly. He's effectively saying, okay, I expected to pay $200 for a fucking key, and then I expect it to work for you for free, but you're being a bad boss, not telling me what my job is gonna be like. That's that's quite the expectancy, I'm not gonna lie. That is pretty wild.
Like to see it function more like the PTR. Honestly, the PTR at this point should not be locked behind some invisible barrier that players can't access. Everybody who has access to Alpha 2 at this point should have access to the PTR to get in and give more feedback on these systems before they hit the live production version. And in those downtimes to structured testing, that is when you run around and play through the more normal loops. We paid hundreds of dollars to test an alpha because Intrepid wanted community feedback and community input, yet Intrepid isn't even telling us what they want that feedback on. And then they go and implement systems that goes directly
Bad
against
bosses.
the feedback that is given, such as crafting being in the awful state that it is. Nobody asked for this. Like, why did somebody think we needed to gather hundreds of materials for early level introduction?
The hell? What? Internet? Hello? My internet dead?
Introductory crafting. Why was this something
The hell is going on with my internet?
that was signed off on as a good idea? Is it an unfinished system that has some reason behind
Yo, what is this? I don't even see a gray bar here. Oh, now I see it. What the hell was that?
these drastic changes that we don't know about? We don't actually know because Intrepid hasn't communicated to us what their intent for this system is. How do we provide accurate feedback as testers to Intrepid when we don't?
Well, you're supposed to say that you just don't like it, and that's it. Okay. One fundamental thing about crafting, it doesn't that if your crafting system is like extremely complicated and takes a lot of time to grind the early levels, that's typically not gonna work out. The early levels are supposed to be manageable fast, and so you get pulled into the game, not slow and boring.
Don't know what the hell is happening. Phase 3 needs to be different. This can't be same
Well, something's gonna happen because too many people are unhappy with the current state of Ashes of Creation, and I mean it's not gonna get better unless something changes. So something is gonna happen sooner or later. Hopefully sooner because I want to see how it goes. Well, anyway, that was Richie SH. SH? Yes, SH. SH. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.